Welcome to the Kratom Sobriety Podcast. This is episode 173. This is Jacob, and today I am here with Jazz, who has been on the podcast before and done some interviews with us. Jazz, how are you doing today?
Hey, Jacob, it's so good to talk to you. Yeah, I am doing okay. I'm not a big fan of the winter weather. You're in the Northeast too, and you're an outdoor buff. It makes things difficult. Still getting outside.
It definitely does if you're not into the cold weather, living in a cold area, but I sympathize. So this week we've got an interview with Matt, and Jazz, I think you have some information on Matt and QuitKit, so maybe you want to talk a little bit about that for the listeners.
Yeah, sure. So Matt Von Declan is the founder and CEO. He was first interviewed on episode 98, which was about a year ago, so October 2024, and he had just a few months off Kratom. He had just started his company, QuitKit, which is a formulation that is 3 weeks of morning, afternoon, and evening supplements that ease withdrawal symptoms from his time we interviewed him last year. He was giving away the QuitKit for free to people who were struggling with quitting Kratom and actually already quit Kratom at that point. But since he was giving away the free Quit Kits, I said, "Oh, can I get one?" Just because I deal with anxiety anyway, and some of these like symptoms that it would help with that made me start or led to my Kratom use in the first place. So I wanted to see if using it to come off of anything. It's an experience. The GABA and L-theanine that's in the nighttime dose, I remember, really helped me with sleep. And so now, like, occasionally I'll buy the supplement from CVS that has GABA and L-theanine in it to quell anxiety at night and help me sleep. And I had a great experience with that just as somebody I tapered off of Kratom. So I didn't have like post-acute withdrawal so much, but I still had the anxiety and symptoms that I had before my Kratom use started, and that helped. I can only imagine how helpful it is for people who are still trying to quit Kratom. So anyway, yeah, now he has a very successful company. He's been interviewed on lots of podcasts. So if you type in his name, Matt Von Declan and QuitKit on your whatever podcast platform you use, you'll find lots of interviews with him where he tells a story and the story of QuitKit. And as you'll hear, he added some tools to the whole QuitKit not franchise, but a business. He has an AI recovery coach and he started a blog, and there's just a lot of cool stuff. And he's even offering a 15% discount to Kratom sobriety listeners. So we'll put that in the show notes. So anybody who wants to give it a try, yeah, use that promo code. I think it's KPS 15, and that'll be in the show notes. And yeah, you can give it a try. And there's lots of good feedback on that.
Great. Yeah, that should be a really good resource, particularly for people that are still struggling or recently gotten off Kratom or like yourself that maybe could just benefit from a little bit of a more organized supplement regimen. So we'll get that interview up here in a couple minutes. You also wanted to speak a little bit about a recent experience that you had with one of the infamous blue bottle products. So why don't you talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I live in the Northeast, and my experience with Kratom from 2021 to 2023 was only with the powder, although I got to some pretty high dosages. But I never dabbled with the extract or the infamous blue bottles, the Kratom Kava tonics. And I heard that they were popping up in all kinds of stores, gas stations, even Walmarts across the country. And I kept telling Charlie, I've never seen them in the wild. I see advertisements, I see ads all over the place, like on the internet, but I never came across them in person. And then just a few weeks ago, I walked into this deli that I frequent sometimes because they have delicious homemade soups, and it has a gas station attached to it. So it's like a convenience store, little deli, and a gas station. And I walked in, and in between the 5 Hour Energies and the Puppy CBD, that they had a big display of the blue bottles, and I was pretty like I was like, oh wait, I haven't seen these here before. And because I go there pretty often for the soups, I know the staff there, and I asked the cashier and the manager like what they knew about these blue bottles, and they said they knew nothing about them except that a rep
Mm.
came and said these sell pretty well and they're very popular. Might as well just put them next to the 5 Hour Energy and they'll sell like hotcakes. And so that's what they did, but they had no idea. So I know you guys have talked before in some of the intros about, I think Lily said she had a conversation with a here at a store that was selling whether it was the extracts or the kratom kava tonics. But I brought up a few articles about some of the adverse effects and some of the concerns with that, and they were surprised. They had no idea. Unfortunately, they've continued to sell it because I did stop by there again to check out their soups, and it's still up there.
Yeah, money unfortunately usually talks more than addictive products. I get that. I'm not. It's a weird stance to take from someone that was addicted to extract products. Not that one in particular, but I guess I get it. Right? If you're a convenience store that's already selling cigarettes and booze, you're like, I'll just add another addictive product, and so people keep coming back. But yeah, it is unfortunate that is continuing to grow. I also live in the Northeast, and I don't. It's not like some of our other listeners, at least where I am in New England, say where every single convenience store has kratom or extracts. It's usually still smoke shops, but I do every once in a while pop like I don't go into those stores very often anyways, but occasionally maybe I'll be out for a walk or something and want to get a drink or something like that, and I'll go in and occasionally see particularly that product, the kava kratom drinks, more than anything else. But it is rare, not as much as we hear about in other parts of the country.
Yeah. One interesting thing that you'll hear in the interview with Matt is he's actually talked to some suppliers, or not supply, yeah, some suppliers and reps and store managers where they are thinking about offering his product alongside kratom kava tonics and other addictive products. So it's okay, they're selling what's making a profit, but they're balancing that out. If you want to get off of it, let's help you.
Yeah, that's
Right
interesting.
direction. Yeah.
Yeah, step in the right direction. Here's the problem. Here's part of the solution.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's encouraging. That's good that at least maybe if you're thinking about using the product, maybe you'd think twice if you see something engineered to get you off the product that you might get stuck on that's sitting next to it. Yeah, the market continues to evolve, and it's rather interesting sometimes to just take a look at it, particularly if you've got some time away from kratom and you don't really think about it all that much anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we'll get right to that interview. I think it's going to be interesting and a little different than our usual quitting interviews, but I'd still give it a listen if you're curious about the QuitKit product and the evolution and what's transpired since episode 98, I think, way back then.
Yep.
All right. Thanks. Thanks, Jazz. I appreciate you coming on, and have a good evening and keep it kratom free.
Yep. Talk to you later, Jacob. Cool. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Kratom Sobriety Podcast. I am here with Matt Von Becklin. He was actually the guest on episode 98, and he is the founder and director of QuitKit. Matt, the first time you were on the podcast was October 2024, so a year ago. And at the time, I think you had about 3 months clean, and now you're close to a year. Is that true from Kratom?
That's correct. Yeah, a year ago, I was on this podcast. It's hard to believe. And at that time, I had 3 months clean from kratom extracts. I was really heavy into kratom extracts, like the black little bottles, the blue bottles, and powders. And now, yeah, a year and 3 months, I'm going strong.
Congratulations. And you attribute that to the supplements that you did your research and you figured out what could help temper the withdrawal symptoms. Just for people listening for the first time, do you want to just briefly recap your story?
Absolutely. Yeah, like a lot of people, I found kratom and accidentally, or rather it found me. I didn't go looking for it, right? Like I went into a corner store one night in 2023 and I was looking for CBD. And the guy behind the counter is like, hey, if you like CBD, I think you're going to like these blue bottles. People tend to like these things. And from the first time I took one of these things, it was like, holy moly, I didn't know I could feel like this was something I could just get at a corner shop. And the way I put it is, once you see behind that door, it's hard to forget what's behind it. Like, you know that this is probably not going to be good if you continue to take this stuff. And yet, it's a really quick shortcut to destroying your mental anguish, making you feel more sociable. And I steadily started taking more and more of them. And 6 months in, I was hooked. Man, I was really hooked. I was spending way too much money getting these things. And like about a year in, I was at a really low point with this stuff. I was taking enough of it that I would lose my balance. I would see double and I couldn't stop doing it. I was just lost. And as scared as I was of the withdrawals of quitting, because I tried to quit twice and I'd failed and I'd gone through the withdrawals and come back to it, the thought of going to rehab was like 10 times scarier to me. So I'm a chemical engineer and I thought maybe there's something out there that I don't need to go to a doctor for, no insurance for, don't have to go to rehab for, that I could take that would help with the withdrawals. And so I did the research, right? I dug into PubMed, National Institutes of Health, and I found a lot of research from clinical trials, institutions all around the world that had studied exactly this problem. People who wanted to try a non-prescription compound to combat withdrawals from opioid use disorder. And I put together what is now the QuitKit. And it's a morning, afternoon, and nighttime combination of these supplements. And I took the jump and I quit and I haven't gone back. And yeah, I definitely think QuitKit played a large part in that, among other things. But yeah, and now I'm here talking to you and it's amazing. I'm so honored to be here today.
Congratulations. And yeah, it's amazing what you've done with QuitKit. And I've seen you all over the airwaves talking about it in the last year. A year ago, you were giving away, I think, 50 QuitKit packages for free at the start. And now you're a full-blown company doing interviews. You do it full time, right? So tell me about that process. How do we get from what's happened in the last year? What have been some of the biggest milestones?
First of all, I want to say that the past year has been one of the greatest honors of my entire life, to be able to share something that worked for me with other people and see it have the impact that it's had. But man, like when I was quitting, when I actually quit for good, July 2024, I joined Reddit and I got on the Quitting Kratom subreddit and I posted and I said, hey, everybody, I'm super scared, but I'm going to take the jump. I hope this is my last day. I didn't mention anything about what I put together because I didn't know if it was going to work. But I said, hey, if you have any words of encouragement, please send them my way. And I want to point this out, like this is one of the things that helped me quit is finding a community. So if you're trying to quit and you're alone, kindly consider joining some sort of anonymous community like Reddit where you can say, hey, I'm scared, but I want to quit. Any encouragement. And I swear people will come to you like antibodies. They will flow to you and offer encouragement. And someone gave me their number. She had been 6 days clean. She said, we can be sober buddies, reinforce our recovery. But then 4 days after I posted that, and I was updating people every single day as I was going, I realized the withdrawals were so minimal that I owe it to whoever might read my posts to just list what I was taking. And so I waited 4 days just to see if it would work. And then I listed what I was taking. I put all the ingredients there and what I'd been taking. And that was the first like public face of the QuitKit. And over the next few months before the Kratom Sobriety podcast episode, I got in contact with a few people on Reddit. They said they were interested in trying it. So I sent them, I still had so much left over from the supplements that I had bought. And I sent them what I had put together. And all of them had positive feedback. And I stayed active on Reddit until the Kratom Sobriety podcast reached out and said, we'd like to feature you. And that's when I talked about QuitKit really publicly for the first time. And I just wanted to help other people and see if it really would work for more than 4 others. And I said, yeah, I'll just send 50 free QuitKits to anybody who wants them, the exact same thing that I'm taking. And hopefully it'll help. And 6 weeks later, that had been done. All 50 free QuitKits had been out and then some. And the response was, again, overwhelmingly positive. And that's when I feel like my life really changed, because all day, all I could think was like, Matt, you have to do this. If this has the ability to change even one person's life. And I realize how this sounds. I feel like it's so cliche or whatever, but it just felt like I had an obligation. And so I started a company and I started manufacturing these things. I paid for it all myself, right? And then started growing it. I got on TikTok, which is bananas, because I
What's
used
your
to dump
TikTok
on
handle?
TikTok all the time. It's at the QuitKit, at the _
At
quit
the
_ kit. You can go see a whole lot of my face, and there's a whole lot of videos explaining what's in the QuitKit. And it just took off from there. The website, it's on Amazon, it's on TikTok Shop, and now it's helped thousands of people at this point. And that brings me back to today. And again, it's just such an honor to have been able to do that.
Yeah, it's basically a formulation of morning, afternoon, and evening. Can you just remind people what the supplements are?
Yeah, of course. So there are 12 ingredients total. There are 5 in each dose. In the morning, I knew that the withdrawals that were going to come on, I've quit tramadol, which is it's a partial opioid agonist. It's a painkiller. I've quit cigarettes. I've quit alcohol, and then kratom. So it's like I knew what was going to happen with my withdrawal. So in the morning, I knew I was going to have a problem with motivation. I was going to be fatigued, and that if I didn't have something to give me a head start on my day, I was going to stay in bed, really. So it's like the morning dose. I created that to fight anhedonia, which is the inability to feel pleasure in the world, and to give me energy and motivation. And then the afternoon dose was typically when my cravings started to kick in the strongest. And so I focused on giving me calm, focus, and clarity of mind. And also something called N-acetylcysteine, which is it helps produce your body's master detox chemical, and that fights cravings. So that's in there. And then the nighttime dose. If anybody's gone through withdrawals, the insomnia is one of the most brutal parts, because it's like in sleep, your body can repair itself most effectively. You need sleep when you're in withdrawals, but it's almost impossible to get it. So the nighttime dose is like a knockout punch, and then ingredients to help keep you asleep when you fall asleep.
Nice. Has anything changed in the formulation since you first were giving it away?
Nope, it is the same. I just increased some of the concentrations of some of the ingredients, but it's the same.
Oh, perfect. I know I started listening to one of the other podcasts you had recently been on, and you were talking about someone who was addicted to heroin who used your QuitKit to get off of heroin. Is that true? Tell me a little bit about that story.
That's the strange thing about kratom. It's like he had been on heroin. We've had people who have used QuitKit to get off of things like Suboxone and harder drugs like hydrocodone and up from there. But there was one person who wrote me and said he was an ex-IV heroin user, been able to get off of that for 8 years. But then he found kratom extracts, and the withdrawals that he faced from that, the way he framed it was that quitting heroin was easier. And put yourself through that, your lifestyle of being addicted to heroin, you're able to get sober, and then suddenly you find something at a gas station that it makes your life, it's so much more difficult to quit that, the thing that's around the corner. And then he found QuitKit and he was able to use it to get off of the extracts. And to me, it says so much about the state of where we're at with these extracts, how little we know about them, how potent they are, how dangerous they can be, but also, yeah, it's just phenomenal that he was able to use QuitKit to get off of those things.
And that's amazing. From your biochemistry perspective, why do you think I've heard this before from other people, why is it sometimes more difficult to quit kratom than it is to quit things like heroin?
I fundamentally believe that addiction has 2 sides, and that unless you address both of them, then it's going to be difficult to quit and stay quit. There's the physical side, and then there's the mental side. And with harder drugs that, things that you have to buy illegally, for example, like heroin, there's a lifestyle that comes along with that. You have to go to a certain place to meet the dope man, and it's a very clandestine thing unless you're surrounded by other people who are using. And that can be its own lifestyle, but once you stop, it's not going to be at the gas stations, and it's not going to be at the corner stores, and it's not going to be at the boutique markets that also sell like artisanal breads. But with Kratom, it's just everywhere. And 7-O's, it's everywhere. So even though physically it's very difficult with these withdrawals, they can manifest as more painful or more difficult because getting your next dose is as easy as walking outside, and you don't need to go to an alley or something like that. You can just go talk to the guy who sells you gas. And I think the interplay of the mental and physical there can really make it more difficult just because it's just a different game.
Yeah, I totally agree. And has anyone who has been on 7-OH used the QuitKit and given you good feedback about that?
The majority of QuitKit clients are trying to end their relationship with 7-hydroxys. Yes.
Oh, interesting. So that leads me to a next question. What's the breakdown, or do you have the breakdown of kratom type that your consumers or your customers use? You said it's mostly 7-hydroxy at this point?
We try to give as much privacy as possible to the QuitKit clients because we know that this is something, like the whole point of QuitKit is that you don't have to share all of your personal data with other people. You can try to quit discreetly. We do very much appreciate it when people share what they've been taking. And yes, the majority now are 7-O's. And this has been increasing over the past year. In the beginning, it was extracts and powder. And yes, that's still a problem. The little blue bottles are still just as devilish and prevalent as ever. But over the past year, 7-O's have just exploded across the country. They're just omnipresent because they've become such a cash cow for the people who were selling kratom extracts. Now it's just a whole new level, new way to get people addicted. But we don't have a breakdown like a census of our customers, or clients rather.
Gotcha. That's really cool though that it's been so successful. Do you have any other stories that really stand out to you about particular clients without any identifying details? Just like anything that really surprised you or was heartfelt or...
Sure. Just last week, I got an email from a wife who said that QuitKit was able to give her husband back. No more details than that. Some testimonials I'll get that are much more in detail than that. But this is the kind of thing that, as someone who used QuitKit to quit, and so I could be the person I wanted to be, and you see someone else being able to benefit from it, it's just, it's mind-blowing that I get to be a part of these stories. But it also underscores that someone's husband who never went looking for this, probably got recommended it by someone they trusted or even marginally trusted, tried it, thought, holy moly, this is so cool. I love this, but maybe don't take it every day. And then a few weeks later, they're taking it every day. And then it becomes their life and a new addict is born. That's where we're at, right? With this stuff. And that's the tough part of it.
Yeah. And you're offering more than just the supplements at this point. Your website has an AI recovery coach and you have a blog and you mentioned the TikTok. So tell us about all of that good stuff. How about the AI recovery coach? That's pretty cool. Tell us about that.
Yeah, this thing is awesome. When I started QuitKit, I knew this would help with the physical stuff, right? But as I mentioned previously, addiction is two-sided. There's the mental side. And even if all of your withdrawals were to go away, what about that addicted voice in your head or the drugs that are going to be talking to you and convincing you to do the things that you don't want to do? A lot of people who go to rehab get paired with cognitive behavioral therapists, or maybe they seek out a therapist on their own, but this can be expensive. Or some people they're afraid to talk about it with anybody. And I'd been having personal conversations with QuitKit clients and telling them about my experiences quitting drugs and finding out about them and learning about who they were and what they were going through. And I thought, what if? And that's like, what if we were able to create a custom AI support companion and just have all of the conversations of what we had talked about, the support that was desired, baked into that custom generative predictive text model, right? It's on ChatGPT. And it was just there. And anybody who took a QuitKit or even came to the QuitKit website could use it. So recovery coach is the result of that. And the first time I used it after iterating it and programming it and reprogramming it, I just thought, whoa, I therapized myself. Whoa, I uncovered a lot of stuff I didn't even know I had, even outside of addiction. If you want to try it, you do have to have a ChatGPT account, but you can go to tryquitkit.com right there at the top, recovery coach. You don't need to buy a QuitKit. You can try it yourself. And I swear, man, I spend 15 minutes with it. It has been having a heck of an impact on people that have used it, including me.
That's really cool about the AI recovery tool. I'm going to have to check that out myself, spend 15 minutes with it. So
Please do.
yeah, we'll put it in the show notes. And you have a blog now too. When did you start that? And what kind of things do you post on your blog?
I like to offer people answers that they could find at any time to questions that we commonly get at QuitKit. One of the primary ones is taper or cold turkey. This really is an important question. So one of the blog articles that I wrote was how to taper, essentially. And if you're going to take the QuitKit, how to taper with the QuitKit. But then also my thoughts on how I was able to quit for drugs. Because I don't consider myself a remarkable person, but I do consider the fact that I was able to quit 4 drugs insane. What? Maybe I have something that I can offer, a way to think about quitting that would help other people to reframe their mindset. I fundamentally believe that if you are able to get excited about sobriety, become curious about it, and then fascinated about it, and then excited about it, then you become more and more confident about your ability as a human being to tap into all that awesome strength that you do have to just crush the drug. Just, if you get curious and then fascinated and then excited about being recovered, then you start to look at the addiction for what it really is, which is just an absolute nothing. There is no value. There's no crutch. All it is doing is preying on your time on this planet. And once you get that mindset going, yeah, man, you are well on your way to saying goodbye to that thing. So I like to put out content that might put people in that mindset.
Yeah, I love it. Have you learned anything remarkable about yourself or your past addictions through the journeys of some of your QuitKit clients? And are there any examples of that? Like, how have you evolved as a person? Like, how have you evolved as a person and your understanding of addiction through not monitoring, but just watching and being behind the success of QuitKit and seeing all these remarkable stories? What has it taught you about yourself?
I think it's taught me that, it's a good question. What has it taught me about myself? I hate to say it, but it's taught me that I am nothing if not ordinary, and that the people who find themselves in the position of being addicted are as ordinary as me, as ordinary as anybody walking down the street. But, and here's the big but, they have this unimaginable strength that they can use to quit that's just gotten put behind a curtain. And the drugs sit on them and they tell them lies about how this is just going to be your life and you need me, and without me, it's going to be torture. It will be, like, the withdrawals obviously are going to be bad, but without the drugs, everything comes alive. And so I've learned that my story of, like, me tapping into the strength to quit and finally having the courage to jump is it's just one of thousands out there. And that everybody else has this just amazing strength that's latent. It's behind, but it's hidden. But it's there. And that as soon as that gets tapped into, you can become more powerful than you can possibly imagine with this. And you can beat this, man. You totally can. You absolutely can.
Yeah, and despite how relatable and ordinary your story is or your experiences with addiction, what would you say has been the biggest challenge in the evolution of QuitKit and helping people in this manner?
I think the greatest challenge is that I've never been a business owner, and I didn't create QuitKit to become a business owner, and changing my life so that I work full-time all day long on QuitKit, figuring out how to do that. That's been tricky. However, it's been immensely rewarding. I'll just say to anybody listening, if you have something that you think could benefit other people, an idea, maybe an invention, or some sort of business that you might want to start, I think that this has been the most gratifying thing I've ever done for myself. And whatever it is that you want to do, it will be that for you too. I promise. It's terrifying because you have no idea what you're doing. But then every day you get a little bit better at it, and then it becomes your life. And then you get a testimonial. My husband's back, and you think, whoa, I could do that 365 days again for that one testimonial. If you have something out there that you want to do that might bring you some kind of testimonial like that, go do it. I promise you. I absolutely
I
promise
love
you. Even if it's tough,
it.
it's so worth it.
I love it. I love it. So I want to ask what's coming up next for QuitKit. Do you have any plans of maybe in the future creating like a community where people who have used QuitKit can, if they want to, they can communicate with each other, like forums or a community of your own?
I've thought about it. It's ironic to follow up my last statement with this. I've been afraid to do it, mainly because I don't know how to create an online community, and I would want to serve these clients to the utmost of my ability. Maybe it's no big deal, but I would just want to give them the best possible experience. So I haven't done it yet, but what's coming for QuitKit in the future, we are working to get into outpatient programs, sober living communities, and become a part of that post-detox phase where now that the substance is out of their system and they're still going to have some post-acute withdrawals, QuitKit can be it can help make that landing softer for when you're coming back into full sobriety. And we've had people they were quitting something hard, let's say fentanyl, for example, and then they got put on a script of Suboxone. And getting off of Suboxone turned into its own nightmare because the Suboxone withdrawals were incredibly severe. But what are you going to get off? What if you can't Suboxone for Suboxone? You can't methadone for Suboxone. So is there anything for that? And they found QuitKit and found that it was an effective way to taper down their Suboxone intake. So it would be remarkable to become part of any program where it's now that the Suboxone script is going to end, the QuitKit can come in there and make that landing softer as you go into full recovery.
Yeah, that's amazing. Have you received any pushback or other response from the medical or addiction medicine community about the supplements and the fact that they're not regulated? Or has it been a positive response from that community too?
I haven't gotten any pushback. We've actually partnered with Advanced Rapid Detox. Dr. Laura Solomon, who was on an episode prior to mine on the Kratom Sobriety podcast, I connected with her, and now in every discharge paperwork that she has for her detox patients, there is information about the QuitKit, and it's been quite successful with her patients post-detox. And we've been connecting with other doctors in the space, but I totally respect anybody that has skepticism about QuitKit, because I would too. I totally would too. And be like, you put together some supplement stack and that's supposed to help with withdrawals. And yeah, you could read the research. Like it didn't come from me. It came from the studies that were already done. But in order to get put into bigger medical communities, there would need to be an official medical trial, a controlled trial with reliable and valid statistical results. And hopefully that day will come.
Yeah. I have another question for you about if other listeners, people who have quit Kratom, are interested or are in the process of quitting Kratom, want to do their own research like you did and make their own connections about what would possibly help them and their individual physiology to quit Kratom. What advice would you give them? I know you have more of a background in that using PubMed and those kind of scholarly sources, but for a random, just your ordinary consumer, is there anything they could do to do their own informed research rather than like staying away from misinformation?
Yes. Oh, that's such a good way to put it too. Yes. Fortunately, we have an abundance of AI companies now like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and these things. You can go to PubMed or National Institutes of Health and just type in withdrawal symptoms, opioid use disorder, and you'll be met with a long list of studies. And it might be difficult to read them, but if you download them, get the PDF, and then upload them into your AI of choice and just say, please summarize this for me. Does this compound that they're studying was there statistical evidence that this would help with the withdrawals? And you can be very clear about what you're taking. You don't have to say that, does it help for the Suboxone in the study? I'm taking the blue bottles. And then form your own, or just download 20 of those and upload them and say, would any of this stuff help me? I'm this age, I'm male, female, this is my job, I have these responsibilities. And you can dive into it that way.
Cool. That's really good advice. There's so much misinformation and disinformation on the internet these days. So it's hard to weed through that. Yeah. And in continuing with QuitKit, what would you ask of anybody in the community? Like, how can they help further propel this awesome venture that you have? Do you want more testimonials? Would that help? Or
if anybody has had a positive experience with QuitKit, kindly reach out to me. I would love to hear about it. I'd love to talk to you. I'll be honest, the very best part about all of this work is being able to connect with the people who I know how you feel. I've been in your shoes. And even if you haven't tried QuitKit, I'd love to hear from you. But yeah, if you've ever had a positive experience, just kindly share that. You could be as anonymous as you want, but I'd love to hear from you. I think that would be the best thing. That's all I really care about.
Awesome. Any other immediate or long-term plans?
Ironically, the places where you would go to buy Kratom or 7-O's, I would love to see QuitKit right alongside that. And since the government regulation is becoming more and more intense on Kratom products, 7-hydroxy products, we've actually received inquiries from smoke shops, single smoke shops with a sole proprietor who wanted to carry QuitKit. And then recently, a smoke shop distributor connected to 1,500 stores across the United States. Some are like, we don't want to do this to our clients anymore. We feel bad. And some are like, we're going to lose sales. So it'd be nice to have something next to it. But man, if I was back in 2024, back at the smoke shops that I used to go to, and I saw something that said, hey, I know you want to quit. I know this isn't who you really are, but the withdrawals are holding you back. Try this, try QuitKit.com, but 100% money back guarantee, by the way. I just want to be very clear on that. 100% money back guarantee if it doesn't live up to your expectations. But yeah, man, that would be awesome because so many people who are taking these drugs, they don't want to be taking them. They're afraid of quitting because of the withdrawals. They know that they want to quit, but the withdrawals are holding them back. Give me something that could give me the confidence to get through it and I'll take it. So in my dream world, QuitKit is sitting next to the Kratom and 7-O's for that person, that me in the past, and helping that person.
That is such an awesome idea. How cool would that be? You walk into a smoke shop and there are products that can help you get off of the products that got you to this rock bottom in the first place.
That's right.
That's amazing. Right. Yeah. So you said you've talked to some of these distributors and owners of head shops. That's fascinating to me. So would you say that a lot of them you think know that they're selling an addictive product?
100%. Oh, without a doubt. I think that these products have turned otherwise totally innocent, well-intentioned people they've become dependent on the new income because the income has become such a large share of their overall business income that it's difficult to give that up. But otherwise, at least one smoke shop owner that now carries QuitKit, she was addicted to fentanyl.
Wow.
And she's been wrestling with the fact that, yes, she carried Kratom powder. She's been carrying Kratom powder, and then these 7-O's from the same companies come in, and this is a whole different beast. I didn't ever intend to become this. And so she's going to stop selling it, for example, even though it became such a large portion of her income.
Amazing. So now that we're talking about this, with the whole regulatory issue, what would you like to see to address, when it comes to regulation or starting to reduce the number of people who get addicted to this insidious substance?
I do have a thought on the regulation that I hope anybody who ever listens to this that might be working for government would consider. Kindly don't criminalize the people who have been using it. In Louisiana, for example, it's now a criminal act to possess kratom. And that went into effect a few months ago. If you have less than 20 grams of kratom, which again, what's 20 grams of kratom? Is it the powder or is it 7 O's? Be more clear. If you have less than 20 grams, you'll pay a fine. But if you have more than 20 grams, you pay a fine and go to jail. And please don't do that. No one who got addicted to these things ever went looking for this. And if you put them in jail and take away what little money they might have left over, especially after they're nursing this habit, please don't do that. If you want to talk about the distribution, that's one thing. That's definitely one thing. You want to talk about age restrictions, that's definitely one thing. But please don't make the people who got addicted criminals, because they're not criminals. So that's the one thing I'd like to say.
100% agree on that. Yeah. Yeah, and with regulation, there's like a difference between decriminalization and legalization. If you just decriminalize something, then there's still no regulation. So somebody won't go to jail, but they might still hit a rock bottom. But if you legalize it, then there's more regulation and people will be warned, hopefully, about what could happen down the road.
That's right. That's right. It's tough to put the responsibility for regulatory control in the hands of a governing body that this is a brand new problem, and yet they're expected to have answers. And I totally get that it's tough to know what to do here. I don't know what to do here. In my world, I would love to never see these things again. I know we have alcohol, we have cigarettes. These are addictive. They kill people every year. But things that play on your opioid receptors that are specifically concentrated to bind to your opioid receptors, that's as cut and dry as it could be. Like it's just a new form of drug dealing. It shouldn't be there.
Absolutely. It sounds like you're living, breathing, and eating QuitKit quite a bit. I want to know, give the listeners an idea of what's going on in your life too. Anything changed since last year besides the fact that you have more time off of kratom? But what else are you doing for fun these days? And what are you doing for self-edification and hobbies, things like that? What's new in your world?
That's such a generous question. Thank you for asking that. I'll be honest. I've become absolutely obsessed with content literature, like you name it, that it will help me better understand what goes on behind the closed doors of my mind. Like I said, I was able to quit for drugs, which is remarkable, but I'm not. I'm just Matt. I'm just a guy. So what's back there? How was I able to tap into that? I have been totally binging audiobooks, like I said, or anything that I can find on YouTube, podcasts, material that I can work on to help me better understand the subconscious and get it, like wrangle it. Because if you can consciously influence your subconscious, then you can consciously push yourself into becoming the person that you hope to be. Without that, it might be difficult, and especially in regards to addiction. But I've been trying, in edification terms, that's what I've been really focusing on. Otherwise, I took up the trumpet and I'm trying to learn the trumpet.
Amazing. That's part of self-edification too.
Oh, it's a blast. Yeah. So I've been playing guitar for 20 years, 25 years at this point. And guitar that's my heart. It always will be my heart. But when you're playing guitar, even though you can get a little bit out of breath and sweaty, you're just using your hands. But with trumpet, man, it's like you have to control your breathing. Number one. So if you don't know how to do that, you're screwed. And then you have to get your lips to form just this perfect little gap so that you can blow just the right way. But then you also have to flex your cheek muscles, and then you're holding it with your hands, and then you're tapping the notes with your fingers. And so it's this whole body experience. And it's just, I've never had anything like that before. Because with guitar, you shred and you're having a blast, but it's your hands. And this other thing, like, you breathe. Like, you will pass out if you don't know what you're doing.
It's like CrossFit for your entire digestive tract and everything around it, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that brings me to another question that's related to kratom. So a lot of people talk about how music loses its magic when you're addicted to kratom, and I think that might apply to other opiates as well. Did you experience that too? Like when you were addicted versus being free of all that now? Is it different for you? Has it changed?
No, it hasn't changed. I know what you're talking about. I'm very thankful. Phenomenon of having music be less impactful did not visit upon me. I was very fortunate in that regard. And music is such a core part of my life that I think it would have been even darker if I had lost the ability to connect with music. Fortunately, that didn't happen for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I did have a little bit about that myself, but now it's a lot more magical again. Do you write your own songs or
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely do.
cool?
I love that we're talking about.
Yes. Do you have a channel you want to plug where you publish your
I
music?
could give a link to a YouTube video that I uploaded, I want to say 10 years ago. I only do instrumentals, but I can't, this is so funny. Yeah, I made what I wanted to be my interpretation of an AC/DC track, like hard charging guitars. I'm happy to put that in the show notes if anybody wants a laugh.
I love it. I'm sure people would be very interested.
Yeah,
You're such
I'm
a
sure they
versatile
would. Yeah,
person.
after this episode, please
Yeah, I'm
subscribe, comment, be like, what? What is this?
I'm a fellow musician, and I have a lot of things from more than a decade ago that are also like, "What? What is this?" It's just
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I go back, I listen. I used to be really into GarageBand, right? So I had a plug in there and I would just make songs. And that would be what I did with my nights. And I like going back and listening to that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I used Cakewalk back in the day, Cakewalk
Yeah,
Sonar.
Cakewalk.
Yeah, that's really cool. Anything else that you wanna tell us about what's been going on in the past year with QuitKit or in your life, or anything else you wanna any other tips you want to give any people who are interested in quitting Kratom or curious about QuitKit?
Yes. And if you are curious about QuitKit, try quitkit.com. There will be the list of ingredients there and an explanation of how they can help fight withdrawals. Use your best judgment. No offense taken if you don't want to try it, but it's free shipping and money back guarantee because I don't want anybody to try this, have it not live up to their expectations and still be financially liable. I don't want to put anybody in that position. But
Yeah.
outside of QuitKit itself, I would like to give a message to anybody who is where I was. And maybe you're not feeling the confidence that you wish you had, or you're feeling a little hopeless. If you've tried to quit before and it didn't work, the one piece of advice that I can give that's worked for me, and I've seen it work for other people now, try something new. And what I mean by that is quit again, but add something to it this time. Do something that you didn't do the last time. And you can start small. I recommend this worked for me. This helped put me in the right mindset. I would watch interviews with celebrities, people that were in movies I liked, and a shocking number of them had dealt with severe addiction to hard drugs and alcohol. And they talked about getting sober and how good life was. And it's, oh, yeah, that's great. And that'll start the ball rolling. So maybe just do that. But what I can recommend as something new is to start exposing yourself to content that contradicts the narrative the drugs have written for you. So the drugs are telling you need them. They're the crutch. They're going to help you when things get tough. And that's not true. Can you find audiobooks, YouTube clips, podcasts like this one, and just over and over while you're putting your socks on, while you're brushing your teeth, while you're driving to work? Listen to it, absorb it, because if you keep exposing yourself to content that contradicts the narrative the drugs have written, your subconscious starts to wake up and pay attention. That's one of the ways that you can start to rewrite your subconscious programming is through repeated exposure. So try that. If you tried quitting before and it didn't take, try exposing yourself to authors that have gotten sober. Just listening to them on Audible, right? And you can get a membership for $15 and you can get a free book from that. Listen to the podcast. But make a habit of breaking your habit. That's the one thing I can say. Don't stop quitting. And every single time if one doesn't take, just try something new. Just try something new and rewrite that bad programming. Because if you feel like you can't do it on your own, other people can. And you can take all of their strength and all of their inspiration and just binge it until you start to believe and see yourself in their story. And then when you get there, you will start to change. Your trajectory will start to change. You will have more confidence and know that whoever you are, I believe in you. I absolutely do. You absolutely deserve the best life. You deserve the life that you want. And don't listen to any drug that tells you otherwise, because you do.
I love that's so heartfelt. You can tell that you're very authentic. And I thought that from the first time that I requested a QuitKit and you responded and gave me your number and we had a conversation. So to all the listeners, Matt is for real. Definitely recommend you check out his site and he'll respond to any questions if you
Sure.
reach out to him. Yeah. So thank you for dropping all these knowledge bombs. It's been really great to get all these updates. Yeah. Trumpet tips for sure. Any trumpet players,
all
please
ears.
write to Matt. Yeah. Thanks for all the knowledge bombs. And I'm sure in another few months or a year, we'll have you back again. And there'll be even more amazing things going on with you and QuitKit.
I truly hope so. And I want to say to you and the Creative Sobriety podcast team, thank you for this. And it's been an honor to know all of you.
Thank you so much, Matt. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Talk to you soon.